What's up, YouTube? Welcome back, and if you're new, welcome to the Lazy Ass Samurai YouTube channel. And hey, it's been a while. It has, and I know I said that with the summer I would be able to upload a lot more, which isn't wrong. But I've also been doing something like living my life, going out on trips, doing fun summer stuff to make up for last year's pandemic summer. And I've also been doing some light reading because if you follow me on Twitter, I did post late last year when I completed my 2020 reading challenge, which was 10 books by the end of the year. I know it's actually not a lot now that I think about it. So I decided to follow up on that challenge and try and read 10 books by the end of this year, which also I'm proving to myself that, hey, you know what, maybe we should just up the ante next year, maybe shoot for 15, because I'm already 8 books deep, and according to Goodreads, yes, I have a Goodreads. I'm not putting that link in the description because I know y'all don't want to. Some of y'all watching probably doesn't even know what Goodreads is. Anyways, my Goodreads tells me I'm 4 books ahead of schedule, so I'm sitting here like, wow, probably should take into account much lighter reads, right? But I do intend on reading regardless of finishing the goal or not, because I've just somehow rekindled, no pun intended, because I do have a Kindle, but I've rekindled my love for reading, and I've just been on a roll lately. Again, pretty light stuff. As you can see, the page lengths of these books aren't really all that, but I just figured, hey, I want to put out a video today, so why not just share what I've been reading? Who knows? Could be some recommendations for some. It could just be, oh, it's interesting for others. So I say we should just get right into it. So I've read 4 books so far this month. I've read 4 books. Again, very light read, so obviously it took me a matter of a couple of days to get through some of them. And I do only have 3 of those 4 books, solely because I am borrowing 2 of them, and I've already returned 1 of the 2. Anyways, so I thought I'd just go ahead and just kind of give my thoughts, first impressions about what I've been reading, and we'll just go from there. So I guess we might as well start with the first one that I've read this month. And this is, admittedly, it's a young adult graphic novel, okay? But I mean, at the same time, to make a quick tangent, I'm a huge Miles Morales fan. I'm already in the process of working on a video, like an actual video. I know how we do things on this channel is very impromptu, very lazy, but when it comes to this specific video I want to put out, I'm actually like writing a script, I'm getting my points down, I'm thinking of how I want it done, and it's actually probably going to be one of my only edited videos, at least, start of a new era or whatever. But the character's 10-year anniversary is coming in August, so I'm going to get that video out to you in August, if not on the day the anniversary is, then within that month, because I just feel like it's such an impact. But anyways, I don't want to get too much into it. But anyways, so obviously you can imagine anything Miles Morales related, I will just eat up. So I went ahead and got this young adult graphic novel, Miles Morales Shockwaves. Not only for the character himself, not because I found out that it was a graphic novel at the last second and I got even more excited because I love reading comics, but because it was written by Justin Reynolds. And I feel like Justin Reynolds writes the character of Miles Morales so well. And I feel like at some point, whether you're just introduced to the character through the Into the Spider-Verse film, or you've read the comics, or even both, like myself, there's a certain vibe with Miles. And I feel like Justin Reynolds encapsulates that and kind of portrays that in the way not only Miles is written, but people around him, like his family, even new characters in the story. And then illustrated by Pablo Leon. Don't think I've ever really taken a look at anything that he's illustrated, but man, I will tell you, such a well done job. I just feel like it kind of gives you that young adult, not even young adult, more like that kid sort of simplistic looking illustration, but it's also so stylized that I got heavy Into the Spider-Verse vibes when looking through some of the panels here, and I just think it was really well done. Just a classic story, classic Miles Morales story. Obviously, he's younger because it's written for a younger audience, but he's still going to school, still getting involved. Long story short, there's an earthquake happening in Puerto Rico, where his mother's from, in the exact area where she grew up. So while they're trying to set up a fundraiser and get funds and assistance over to Puerto Rico, there's a bunch of stuff going on, crime stuff. There's some superhumans involved, and it's actually a really good story. And it kind of, I feel like, leaves off on a cliffhanger, so I'm hoping that eventually in the future we actually do get a follow-up to this, because I would I'd tap in for sure. So then we got my second read, which is the one I don't have with me, is a horror manga by the name of Uzumaki by the Master of Horror, which I realize is kind of a moniker that people use for him. But I will tell you what, definitely has earned it. Junji Ito, the same person who was responsible for my fourth read in these books that I've been reading. But Uzumaki was significantly thicker, but it is something. It is my first foray into anything horror like that, especially illustrated like in the sense of manga. And golly, it was. I'm going to put out a video just specifically to give my thoughts and opinions of Junji Ito's work, or at least what I've been exposed to so far. But being the first actual horror manga that I've read, Uzumaki did not disappoint because it made me feel uncomfortable, disturbed, but I could not put it down for the life of me. So within a week, I actually finished reading it, and like there's just literal moments where I remember gasping or having to look away. Like, when you're watching a video or playing a game and something big happens or something shocks you and takes you by surprise, and you just have to pause and just sit there for a second and like catch yourself. Well, that's exactly what happened probably every chapter of that manga. And I wasn't expecting it. So I'm sitting here reading through these pages and I'm just like, what? Basically, the whole town is cursed by spirals. Like the image of a spiral. And it goes to very, very unexpected places. Like I said, I'll touch more on this and give like actual exact examples of things that kind of really put me off, but it goes above and beyond into the horror factor, and I feel like it's solid. It's really solid. I hate to say it because I'm kind of a scaredy cat, but I could not stop reading it, and so much so that I dove into this one, and I'm most likely going to try and read Tomi and a lot of his other works because yeah, it was crazy. And fun fact, apparently Uzumaki is being developed into an anime and already has a live action film that I haven't looked into yet because I still have to get over the trauma. So that was my second read. My third one, it's a long time coming because I got this book probably 3-4 years ago. It's Man Seeking Woman, Simon Rich. Originally published as Last Girlfriend on Earth. It's a collection of short love stories, solely comedic. It's great. It's great. I picked up this book a long time ago solely because the show that it inspired. I watched the show and I loved it because I'm a sucker for romance when it comes to certain things. And, you already know my thoughts of Scott Pilgrim. Like, I love romance if it's done in a style that I can get behind. And Man Seeking Woman did it. The show just hooked me. I watched all 3 seasons probably 2 times over before actually sitting down and getting through this book. And it is hilarious. It is like it's like a no holds barred version of the show, which is cool though because there's so many short stories in here. So many. Simon Rich even says that he wrote 100 originally and had to cut roughly 70 of them because he just felt like it didn't fall into line in the quality of the rest, which is great. And it's so funny because, like I said, I watched the show and probably I was able to point out maybe 8 to 10 of these short stories that obviously had heavy influences in the show, and I'm just like, oh, that was the one where he ends up going out with the troll, or oh, that's the one where he gets with a girl and it's like such a big deal that the president calls and like everyone, like paparazzi's outside and like the news is asking him like, oh, how'd you do it, how'd you get the girl? And it's just so funny. So it's like an anthology series. None of these stories are connected in the book. In the show, of course, it's like an actual story, but it includes so much. Really great. I'd recommend it. It's actually really funny. Again, it's like a no holds barred version because it's very explicit at times. Mainly with just language and themes. It's not like anything too explicit. I just felt like there were a lot of like, it was just really good. It was just really well written. The stories were really funny. Some were not my cup of tea, but a majority of the stories were like some of my favorites. And the best part is it's like divided up into different sections. So you have boy meets girl, your classic boy meets girl. I don't know if you can see that. Wow, it's kind of bad. Then you have your boy gets girl, and then boy loses girl. So it's like all these collected stories with an overall theme. And I just think it's great, and I recommend it. And then finally, my goodness, the madness that I subjected myself to for the past 2 days. Finished reading it late last night. It is Gyo, The Death Stench Creeps by none other than Junji Ito. I feel like it's obviously not his best work from what I've read. Uzumaki, for sure, is like a really high point. And Tomi is also apparently a really good one. That's probably going to be the next one that I read. But Gyo was also a dark, disturbing, twisted tale. Significantly shorter. I want to say maybe even half the length of Uzumaki. It gets so... First, it wasn't my cup of tea. You'll see why. I'll go, again, more in-depth in my Junji Ito video that I'm going to be putting out next week. But it's more Junji Ito. More of that dark, twisted, disturbing horror that is, again, another masterpiece from the creator of Uzumaki. I feel like, if anything, before you subject yourself to such a long read, maybe start with Gyo. And if you can handle this, or maybe this even doesn't seem to be like, oh, this isn't really much of anything, then go read Uzumaki afterwards, if I were to recommend it. But, or you could just be like me, and you read Uzumaki, or even Tomi, or any other of his works, and you're just like, man, this guy's really good. It's kind of scary. Just go pick it up. It's like I said, it's probably a day's worth of read, because it is a manga at the end of the day. It is a manga, so it's not, you kind of just go along with it. There's some panels that are just kind of like, there's no text or dialogue, so you just kind of skim through it. And not skim through it, but you just kind of flip through it, and then get to the end. So that's it. Those were the 4 books that I've read this month so far that has put me closer to my goal of reading 10. I might do a follow-up video, who knows, just to update with... I might even provide all the books that I've read. I probably won't go in much in depth with these 4, but I might just provide all the books that I read on my 2021 reading goal journey. Because again, there's 2 more left, and these next 2 I plan on being much more thick reads, I guess, if you will. But yeah, so that was it. Thanks for tuning in again. It's great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fine. If you have any reading recommendations for me, whether it be for my reading goal or even just beyond, I've rekindled my love for books, no pun intended, because I have a Kindle. But I would just love for reading recommendations. If you could recommend anything, I feel like by this point in time, if you watch my videos, you kind of have an idea of what I'm into. Comics, Star Wars, manga, superheroes, romance, but obviously not like the intense romance that would leave me sitting here like heaving. But yeah, anyways, this video is getting pretty long. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you guys next week for my Junji Ito video dedicated to that man himself, which I'd say is pretty special of a feat because I've only read 2 of his works. So we'll just go from there. But as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and please stay lazy. I'll catch you guys next time.